Update. For years, my husband said that if I want stability in our life, I have to make it happen. I did, and now things are worse than ever. Original post. To sum up, my husband, 37 male, and I, 35 female, have been married 10 years. We have a good marriage and have never faced any truly difficult times. It'll be difficult to explain everything that goes into this, but I'm happy to expound in the comments. Basically, the last decade has largely been focused on achieving financial independence. I had never been a very business-oriented person until I met my husband. He is extremely entrepreneurial, and his passion for it is catching. We have run our own businesses together and separately throughout our marriage. The goal has always been to make enough money on location-independent businesses so we can live freely. Not necessarily retire, but have more freedom. Because of his encouragement, I am now on a career path that could easily result in that. In 10 years, we have moved 25 times, all because better opportunities have presented themselves, or current opportunities have dried up. We're now facing number 26 with number 27 not far away because number 26 doesn't look like that good of a prospect. Without giving away details, my business fluctuates greatly. I've had months where I pull in mid-5 figures and long stretches of a few hundred. My career outside of this is food service with a very definite wage ceiling. My husband's career is professional, and he can easily find a 6-figure salary position. His current online business currently brings in low 4 figures. We have always relied on him going back to work when money runs low. He's in high demand, can practically snap his fingers and get a job. I cannot. Here's the conflict, and where I'll try to eliminate as much of my bias as possible. My husband is completely burned out. He physically and emotionally can't deal with the stress of going to work right now. He has supported me through the last couple of years when my income has been low. I've always been aware of my financial contribution and made up for it by carrying the grand majority of the household chores, even when I was working 60+ hours as a manager and pulling in half his wage. But as our savings are dwindling, it's looking more and more like I'll have to get a job. That means pushing my business to the back burner, working a physically demanding job, all for a quarter of the pay he could get. I'm not one to spend money. We didn't have a wedding. We bought my wedding band 3 years after we got married. I cut my own hair. I work from home in sweatpants. It's not as though I've forced him to work jobs he hates in order to provide me with an extravagant lifestyle. I have worked crappy jobs to help provide for us in the past, and even when my business isn't earning a ton, I still put in 50+ hours a week. I'm craving stability, not permanence. Just the feeling that I can unpack our boxes and not feel like I should save them in a closet knowing in 6 to 9 months I'll need them again. We've been child-free for years, but the last couple of years the topic has been coming up more and more. Yet I feel it's impossible to even discuss the idea of starting a family in the face of such uncertainty. I miss my cats. They're living with my parents overseas. I want a fish tank and a place to hang pictures. He says, if you want those things, then make them happen. Which, fair enough. I completely agree with that. I don't want to rely on him to provide the life I want. However, it leaves me feeling a combination of emotions I can't really put a word to. I find myself going through mental exercises of, what would I do in this situation if I were single? How would I support myself? And I start to feel resentful. I'm not single. I'm married. And not only that, I'm not sure I can make enough money to support us. I desperately want him to find what it is he's meant to do. I don't care about the money or the dreams of financial independence if it means he's miserable trying to get there. He's been trying to work out which direction to change to for the past year and has yet to come up with anything solid. I know it's all about give and take, but I can't help but feel, I don't know. I don't have the words. And I'm at a complete loss as to how we resolve this. By the way, we have talked about all of this about 1,957 times already. There's nothing written here he hasn't heard before. Edit. I appreciate all the comments and opinions. This got a lot more response than I expected. Just a few things. It's difficult to sum up an entire life in a few hundred words. The moves have been varied and obviously, with 25 of them, multiple reasons. Some were because my husband was offered a good job. Others were to be nearer to family. I've been pursuing my side business for the last 3.5 years. The 7 prior to that, I was in full-time employment, sometimes working a full-time job, while also helping to run our own business. He has not financially supported me for 10 years. I'm not sure where people got MLM from, but I'm in a creative field. As I said, I don't want to reveal details, but I create products and then sell them online. We are not scam artists, nor do we have to leave town because people are catching on to our pyramid scheme, LOL. As far as financials go, again, it's impossible to sum up 10 years of income. But we go through feast and famine periods, times when money is flowing in, and times when we live off what we've earned. We never live outside our means, and when money is good, we put thousands a month away to prepare for the down times. It's not a typical way of living, so I understand it's not easily relatable. Now for the top advice before reading the update. So, you both have entrepreneurial side businesses and full-time jobs, plus moving every 3 to 6 months for the last 10 years? That would burn anybody out. I know financial independence is a dream, but it seems like if both put down roots, maybe for a specified time like 4 years, and found stability, burnout wouldn't be a factor. Financially and emotionally, starting over takes a toll. I want to say make a plan, but sometimes you have to go with the flow, work a job, and just make it day to day without trying to achieve large crushing goals of making it big with an entrepreneurial venture. We go back and forth when it comes to the full-time employment. Because of his high salary and short lifespan when working, it's been more like 6 months on, several months off, but there is always a side business. Always. If your husband is no longer able to work due to psych or emotional issues, he should see a doctor and get a diagnosis that will allow him to apply for SSD in the States. Moving 25 times in 10 years would make me want to settle down also. Financially, how long will it take you to burn through your assets at the current rate? If your husband is not disabled by his burnout at some point, it's reasonable that you want him to start generating income again. We're financially responsible, so the panic bells don't start ringing until we get down to a decent chunk left in savings. Part of having such a flexible lifestyle is keeping enough liquid cash around to be able to pick up and go without difficulties. Right now, he has an online business that is bringing in enough to pay the bills, but not contribute anything to savings. I'm not bringing in anything. Now for the first update 9 months later. I'm writing partly to sort all this out in my head and partly for outside perspectives. I don't even know what to think anymore. Again, I'm happy to explain any details that need fleshing out if it helps. I'll try to be concise, and I truly appreciate you reading. 9 months ago, I posted asking for help about my frustration with going back to work after my husband burned out in his career. For the sake of anonymity, I tried to be vague with the details, and many thought our work was on the dodgy side. I don't care about keeping it anonymous. All these factors are relevant. I'm an author. I self-published books and made a decent living doing it for several years. My husband is a software developer and mainly buys existing online companies and fixes them up to sell. When that's not working, he tries to work a normal 9 to 5, but typically lasts no more than 6 months. His last attempt was 1 day. My career before this was in the food industry, which means crap pay, long hours, and very sore feet. I got a job that pays 95% of the bills. The rest is covered by savings. Yeah, I'd rather be working for myself, but I like it. I'm good at it. It's the first time I actually enjoy going to work. For the last few months, I've been slowly changing, and it feels like my husband and I are drifting apart. At first, I thought it was a natural phase. Things will definitely feel different compared to working under the same roof all day and night. Now, I don't know. From the previous thread, he says, if you want those things, then make them happen. I am making enough money to support us, and it feels good. It's given me confidence in a way I haven't had before, but it's also made something glaringly obvious in our relationship. We disagree on just about everything, and we have very little in common. I'm happy to work on my writing on the side while I work. He thinks I've given up on our dream and have settled for a world, the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday world, he is loath to spend time in. He sold his business and is still figuring out what he wants to do next. I want to buy a flat in the city. He wants to move to the country or use our savings to travel or live remotely. I want to settle for a while and make friends. He thinks there's plenty of time for that in the future. I want to make our home cozy and put up decorations like photos and artwork. While he likes it, he thinks of it all as just pointless stuff we shouldn't waste money on. I could go on, but you get it. It feels like literally everything I like he hates. I've also realized that most of the moves, most of the big decisions, were things I went along with. I'm not saying he bullied me or anything, just that I didn't feel too strongly one way or the other. So I tended to go with what he wanted. Of course, we talked about it, but I rarely was the one pulling in the bulk of the income, so I didn't feel like I had much of a say. Now I feel strongly about a life direction and have the ability to make it happen, and I feel guilty? He says I've changed, that he's the same as he's been, wants the same things he's always wanted. This is me altering the situation, which I agree with. But it's not like it's this massive bait-and-switch plan. Our entire marriage I've talked about settling down. I'm rambling. Here's the way I see it. We both love each other and genuinely want to make the other happy, which is why over 10 years, we've both compromised on choices that go against what we individually want. He goes to work for a little while so I can have a semi-stable home. I bounce around the world with him so he can discover himself and his career. But our tolerance for these periods has become too short to manage. He physically can't work for another person. I want to scream when I think about packing up my stuff and starting over again. Have we just spent so much of our marriage being distracted by the exciting newness of moving and pushing for financial independence that we didn't notice how little we have in common otherwise? I can't help but feel like this is on me. Not my fault per se, but on my shoulders. I'm the one rocking the status quo, and if I want things to balance out, it's up to me to adjust my expectations. You guys sound super incompatible. Is this really the man who you imagine building the life you want with? If you want a chance to keep this marriage afloat, I'd seriously consider couples counseling to see if you can find compromises here that both of you can agree to. If you can't find those compromises, then you should seriously consider moving on. I mean, yeah, I want to continue my life with him. I love him. I like him. We do enjoy each other's company. I really think these problems are probably for a professional. Time to go to couples counseling it is. Hopefully you guys can find compromise here and keep this marriage going strong. Good luck. Now for the final update 7 years later. I was recently cleaning out my bookmarks and found this old throwaway, and obviously the 2 posts I made with it. I'm not sure why now, but I feel compelled to write a follow-up. Maybe it'll give people the bravery to change, or at least an example of how sticking with what you know isn't always the best choice. And obviously, very long story short, with the help of those posts and a lot of long nights of thinking, I left my husband. In fact, it took him going away for a long weekend to realize how much happier and at peace I felt without him around. At first, the split was amicable, but looking back, I think he was just waiting for me to come rushing back to him once I realized my mistake. When that didn't happen, and he could see I was actually serious about building a new life for myself, a switch flipped. We only spoke when he needed something from me, and eventually, that stopped too. Enough about him. I'm now 42, happier, healthier, and more satisfied than I've been my whole life. I picked me, and that was the best choice I could have ever made. I lived alone for the first time, and my God, the peace of having my own space, unrivaled. I ended up staying in that apartment for 5 years, not a moving box in sight. I put art on the walls. I knew my neighbors. I made a home. I grew my career and went back to school. Made friends, built a little community. I've done a ton of therapy and realized that the abusive patterns my parents created in childhood were just repeating with my ex. I fell in love, a real love, a supportive love that encourages growth and security. I'm doing new work that helps people, and is so much more than just chasing money. All of those things have created a life that's more rewarding than I ever thought possible for myself. I've gone through some really crappy times too. Illness, cancer scares, deaths, loss. But I have no idea how I would have come out the other side without the community I'd built around me. Even something as simple as people at your local coffee shop recognizing you is a comfort after feeling adrift and alone for so long. Anyway, if I were to respond to myself from 7 years ago, this is what I would say. Leave the loser. He doesn't care about you, never did. He only cares about what you can do for him, and now that you aren't serving him, well, just go. You are capable of doing difficult things, and you are worthy of the work it takes to accomplish them. Trust your abilities. Trust your gut. It's been screaming at you for years now, honey. Life can be so much more than you've experienced, but you have to make it happen for yourself. Edit. I'm surprised but happy this found so many people. I genuinely thought I was going to bookend this story and have it disappear into the ether. But whatever urge I had to write it, and whatever brought you to reading it, who knows? Maybe it was meant to. Thank you for all the messages and comments. I feel so grateful to have this perspective and experience. This is as close to fairy tale ending as this world provides. I'm so happy for you. You brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. Oh God, I feel like this is a sign from the universe. I literally teared up. I'm also 42. I've been in limbo about what to do in my marriage for years. My nervous system is a wreck and I feel like I'm dying. I'm so happy everything worked out for you. It gives me hope. Maybe you're why I felt compelled to write this yesterday. So much love and peace to you. It's really ridiculous the number of women I know who leave marriages and blossom, thrive, are so much happier for it. You don't see that much talked about in the outside world. It's really remarkable. Last story. My partner used our trip fund. I'm incredibly mad, holding myself back from saying a lot of nasty things. I'm considering breaking up. How do you communicate about something like this? We, 23 female and 24 male, had been doing deliveries together day and night for this money. It's bad enough I had to hassle and fight for this date to happen. He complained about no time and there's no money, so I help get it. Dusk till dawn so that we can do this. We pick a day together. We make most of our goal for the trip. I borrowed a few dollars to get items for the trip. I did put the money back in the next day. I calculate our expected expenses just to make sure our goal is enough. I ask what we have from deliveries in total. This idiot spent it. All of it. I of course asked him what happened. He said some expenses came up, that he had to eat and live as well. We'll make the money back. On top of, if I expect him to feel bad about it. Do I expect you to feel bad about spending our trip fund that I also worked hard on earning? I told him he should have starved before touching that. Bread, butter, and sugar, before a finger touched that money. I'm considering ditching him. Ghost. I was looking forward to that trip. I've working hard back to back for so long. I was ready for some peace and solitude at the beach. I needed it. Bad. And the money was there for it. And it was gone in a day. I can feel myself breaking down a bit. I really don't want to be a vile person to him. Is this something that I should even try to move forward from? It's hard for me to honestly look at him right now. I'm tired of things being stripped from me my whole life. He was the last person that I needed doing that right now. Communication and setting boundaries don't feel like it'll fix this. Now for the advice. This is a very reasonable reason to break up. I'm generally against ghosting unless it's a matter of safety, but you don't have to get into a big thing about it. You can just say, this relationship isn't working for me. I don't feel respected and valued, so I'm ending it. Yeah, break up. If he needs explaining to him why what he did was wrong, he's not fit to be in a relationship, and it's not your job to get him to understand that. He literally stole from you and then had the cheek to give you grief for calling him out on it. It's right you can't look at him. If you force yourself to forgive him and move on, you won't be able to look at yourself either. I can barely look at myself right now. This is embarrassing and quite frankly disrespectful. It always sucks seeing how manipulative someone truly is.